You're about to see how Alpha1 AI teaches students.
Hi, Chloe. I'm an eighth grade social studies teacher, and I'd visually like to explain to my students how a bill becomes a law and how it is a circular process.
Hi there, I can help you with that. To start, let's break down the process of how a bill becomes a law and illustrate its circular nature. I will create a diagram on the whiteboard. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Great! Let's begin by outlining the steps. I will use the whiteboard to draw a flowchart that shows how an idea turns into a law. It starts with an idea, then goes to Congress, then to the President, and back to Congress if there are any changes. All right, the flowchart is ready on the whiteboard. It shows all the steps, from the initial idea to the president's decision. Take a look and tell me, what happens if the president vetoes a bill?
It gets voted on.
That's right, but it's a little more specific than that. If the president vetoes the bill, it goes back to Congress, and they can override the veto with the 2/3 vote in both the House and the Senate. Do you know why this process is considered circular?
Because if it doesn't get signed, it goes back at the beginning and maybe the idea changes to step one.
Good observation. The circular aspect comes from the bill potentially returning to Congress if it's vetoed, needing another vote, or even being revised and reintroduced. Now, can you write on the whiteboard one reason why it's important for a bill to go through so many steps before it becomes a law?
Chloe, can you visually explain to my students where in the Constitution they are given the right to vote?
Okay, let's clarify where the Constitution addresses the right to vote. I will use the whiteboard to highlight specific amendments that expanded voting rights. How does that sound?
That sounds good. Again, make it visually appealing and simplistic for my students.
Okay, I'll create a visual that breaks down the relevant amendments in a simple way. All right, the infographic is on the whiteboard. It shows the 15th, 19th, and 26th amendments and what each one did to expand voting rights. Now, can you tell me, why do you think it's important for students to understand these amendments?
So that they know where their rights come from?
Exactly. Understanding these amendments helps students appreciate the history of voting rights and how they've been expanded over time. It also helps them understand the importance of participating in the democratic process. Now, for your students, can you write on the whiteboard one reason why it's important to vote?
Chloe, can you get more specific and more relevant to them? In the Texas state, how does a bill become a law and again show its circular nature in the state?
Okay, let's shift our focus to the Texas state legislative process. I will create a flowchart that specifically outlines the steps for a bill to become a law in Texas, highlighting its circular nature. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Understood. Let's illustrate the process of a bill becoming a law in Texas. All right, the flowchart illustrating the Texas legislative process is now on the whiteboard. It outlines the journey of a bill from its introduction to the governor's action. Now, can you point out on the flowchart where the circular aspect of the process is most evident?
Chloe, I don't see it yet. Are you still working on it?
Apologies, it seems there was a delay. The flowchart should be visible now. The circular nature is evident when the bill is vetoed by the governor, sending it back to the legislature. Can you see it now?
I do see it now. It's a little bit harder to understand. I'm going to add another page to the whiteboard. Can you make it a little bit more simplistic?
I understand. I will simplify the Texas legislative process flowchart on the new page you've created. Okay, the simplified flowchart of the Texas legislative process is now on the new page. It shows the main steps and highlights the governor's role in either signing the bill into law or vetoing it, which sends it
This,
back to the...
this is great, Chloe. Can you also in the names of current politicians who belong to these categories?
I can add the names of current politicians to the flowchart. But keep in mind that political affiliations and roles can change. Would you like me to add names for the governor, Speaker of the House, and Lieutenant Governor?
Yes, add that. And is there anything relevant in the current news regarding these office holders?
Okay, I'll add the names of the current office holders to the flowchart. As for relevant news, I can't provide real-time news updates, but you can easily find the latest information through a quick online search. Right, I've added.
Teachers, this is a safeguard so that students do not get unwanted or current news that may be biased.
For more information, please visit alpha1ai.com. Alpha1 makes every lesson personal, supporting students, empowering teachers, and guiding parents. Smarter learning every day with Alpha1.